Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. India and the UK to diversify scope of comprehensive strategic partnership. Keir Starmer calls India's growth story remarkable. PM Modi announces 9 UK universities to open campuses in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer to attend the 6th edition of the Global Fintech Fest, a global forum for financial policy dialogue and cooperation in Mumbai. Celebrations continue at Hostages Square in Tel Aviv as Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of Donald Trump's plan to end the conflict in Gaza. And the unbeaten Indian women's cricket team to take on South Africa in the ICC Women's ODI World Cup in Visakhapatnam today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with his UK counterpart Keir Starmer in Mumbai on Thursday. The two leaders held bilateral talks aimed at strengthening the India-UK comprehensive strategic partnership under the Vision 2035 roadmap. So this marks Prime Minister Starmer's first official visit to India following the signing of a major free trade agreement earlier in July. PM Modi and PM Starmer held delegation-level talks in Mumbai. The British PM is accompanied by the largest ever UK trade delegation to India, which includes 125 prominent business leaders, entrepreneurs and university vice-chancellors. So after the bilateral level talks, the two leaders held a joint press briefing in Mumbai. Prime Minister Modi highlighted the immense potential in technology partnership between India and the UK and said both countries are working to connect the youth of both the countries with innovation.
भारत और यूके के बीच टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनरशिप में अपार संभावनाएं हैं। हम यूके की इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सपर्टाइज R&D को भारत के टैलेंट और स्केल के साथ जोड़ने पर काम कर रहे हैं। पिछले वर्ष हमने इंडिया यूके टेक्नोलॉजी सिक्योरिटी इनिशिएटिव लॉन्च किया। इसके तहत हमने क्रिटिकल एंड इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज में ज्वाइंट रिसर्च और इनोवेशन के लिए एक मजबूत मंच तैयार किया। दोनों देशों की युवा पीढ़ी को इनोवेशन इस ब्रिज से जोड़ने के लिए हमने कनेक्टिविटी और इनोवेशन सेंटर, ज्वाइंट AI रिसर्च सेंटर जैसे कई कदम उठाए हैं। हमने क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स पर सहयोग के लिए एक इंडस्ट्री गिल्ड और सप्लाई चेन ऑब्जर्वेटरी की स्थापना का निर्णय लिया है। इसका सैटेलाइट कैंपस ISM धनबाद में होगा। सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स के प्रति हमारी साझी प्रतिबद्धता है। हम इस दिशा में इंडिया यूके ऑफशोर विंड टास्क फोर्स के गठन का स्वागत करते हैं।
Further, Prime Minister Modi highlighted that the growing partnership between India and the UK has been an important base for global stability and economic progress in the current era of global instability.
भारत और यूके नेचुरल पार्टनर्स हैं। हमारे संबंधों की नींव में डेमोक्रेसी, फ्रीडम और रूल ऑफ लॉ जैसे मूल्यों में साझा विश्वास है। मौजूदा वैश्विक अस्थिरता के दौर में भारत और यूके के बीच ये बढ़ती हुई साझेदारी ग्लोबल स्टेबिलिटी और आर्थिक प्रगति का एक महत्वपूर्ण आधार बनी रही है। आज की बैठक में हमने इंडो पैसिफिक, वेस्ट एशिया में शांति और स्थिरता और यूक्रेन में चल रहे संघर्ष पर भी विचार साझा किए। यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट और गाजा के मुद्दे पर भारत डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी से शांति की बहाली के सभी प्रयासों का समर्थन करता है।
In his address, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer emphasized that India's growth story is remarkable and congratulated Prime Minister Modi on his leadership, aiming to be the world's third largest economy by 2028.
It is significant that we're meeting here in Mumbai as India's economic and financial capital because India's growth story is remarkable. I want to congratulate the Prime Minister on his leadership, aiming to be the world's third largest economy by 2028. And your vision of Vikrat Bharat is to completely developed country by 2047. And everything I've seen since I've been here is absolute proof to me that you're on track to succeed in that. So we want to be partners on that journey. And my visit this week is about doubling down on the potential of our trade deal.
Shama Mishra, DD India correspondent, joins us from Mumbai now. Hi, Shama. After talks with Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India and the UK are working together on defence co-production, expanding their partnership in advanced technology and manufacturing. How would we expect today's meeting to advance these goals?
Well, Tanvi, if we see the large perspective, there were four major areas where the talks have been held in the delegation level talks, and you have mentioned those when we heard the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, speaking the joint statement. So education, trade and investment, climate, health and research, and also technology and innovation. These are the main areas where the announcements or agreements have happened. You have spoken about the defense area. We understand that, for the accessibility for UK to do better trade or better surveillance, UK would require the coming and going easy access, that is in the Indian Ocean, in the Indian Pacific. That is why both the countries are coming together. Also, UK would be dependent on India for this particular aspect, wherein India could give that leverage to UK to have an easy access and an affordable access. Apart from that, India is striving for the self-reliant India and trying to establish itself as a developed nation by 2047. In that direction, we have been working on the on strengthening the Make in India campaign and also in the defense sector. So UK can take some of the help from that end, some of the angle from that end, and that's how the cooperation can come about. Also, while we are talking about surveillance, defense, we understand that now the wars are not going to be held through people to people, but it will be technology to technology, and that is how India can play a major role coming into the picture with developed AI, more strong AI technology, more strong infrastructure, and both the countries can take that particular task ahead, that particular point ahead. Also, there were many universities here. 9 universities would be setting up their education institutions here in India in different parts of the country, including Bangalore, Mumbai, Gift City. So I got an opportunity to speak with them, and they have been all praises for the Indian leadership, for Indian policies, which includes the national education policy, which has enabled them to bring their universities to India. And Indian students also will get a lot of opportunity to learn how their education system is working, and then after that they will have a choice whether to go abroad in UK or implement that education here in India and make better opportunities here in India. So overall, a win-win situation for both the countries, a large delegation from UK that had come, and both the Prime Ministers, they've headed towards the Global Fintech Festival, the 6th edition, which is happening at the BKC area of Mumbai, and we will understand how the CEO roundtable will go, and about that, both Prime Ministers would be addressing the people here, people at the Global Fintech Festival, and then the visit of UK Prime Minister. At the end, he will be also visiting a few of his people, and they'll be having a gala dinner. His meeting or his journey, his Mumbai visit would conclude, and at around 8 o'clock, the UK Prime Minister would be then leaving for his country back. So overall, a very fruitful discussion, a very, a discussion which has shown plans and executions here in India, and likewise, we are also expecting that the Indian delegation would also be having their own setup there in the UK.
Thank you very much. Shama Mishra reporting from Mumbai. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal called on UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Mumbai on Thursday morning. The minister, in a social media post, said, delighted to call on UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, discussed avenues to further deepen India-UK trade and economic partnership for mutual prosperity. Piyush Goyal on Thursday announced the signing of the terms of reference to reposition the Joint Economic and Trade Committee. Again, in a post on X, he asserted that this institutional reset is a game changer, strengthening the framework for strategic engagement between the two nations, driving the implementation of the India-UK Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement and boosting both nations to jointly significantly enhance bilateral trade. India and Australia sign key defence agreements in the presence of Rajnath Singh and Australia's Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles. Rajnath Singh is on an official visit to Australia and arrived in Canberra on Thursday. The visit is aimed at strengthening defence and strategic cooperation between the two nations. Defence Minister highlighted the rapid growth of India's defence industry and India's growing stature as a credible source of high-quality defence tech globally, and thanked Australia for its steadfast support on cross-border terrorism and shared regional stability. Australia's Deputy Prime Minister described the agreement as a hugely significant step in strengthening the operational partnership between the two nations' armed forces. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining peace, stability and a rules-based order in the region. During his visit, Rajnath Singh held comprehensive talks with Marles, focusing on strengthening the India-Australia defence partnership, enhancing maritime security cooperation and advancing joint initiatives in the Indo-Pacific region. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining peace, stability and a rules-based order in the region. Rajnath Singh met with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra, where Albanese recalled his deep association with India and expressed confidence that the India-Australia bilateral relationship will continue to grow deeper and stronger. A welcome to country smoke ceremony was also held at the Australian Parliament to honour and welcome Rajnath Singh. The ceremony was part of a reconciliation process as it acknowledges the traditional ownership of the land and involves Aboriginal Australians in events that take place on their traditional lands. Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi arrived in New Delhi on Thursday morning. This is the first visit by a top Afghan leader since 2021, following the withdrawal of the US-led forces. The External Affairs Minister, in a social media post, extended warm welcome to Afghan Foreign Minister on his arrival in New Delhi. The post further stated that India looks forward to engaging discussions with the visiting Afghan Foreign Minister on bilateral relations and regional issues. International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva praised India's role in driving global economic growth. Kristalina said global growth patterns have been changing over the years, notably with China decelerating steadily while India developing into a key engine growth. IMF also announced that the global economy is projected to grow by 3% this year. India's bold reforms from digital payments to public infrastructure are transforming its economy, turning it into a key engine of global growth, said Kristalina. In a landmark achievement for the nation, India has been conferred with the prestigious International Social Security Association Award 2025 for outstanding achievement in social security. The award is recognition of the substantial increase in social security coverage from 19% to over 64% in the last decade. The award was presented at the World Social Security Forum held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Union Minister for Labour and Employment and Youth Affairs and Sports, Mansukh Mandavia, received the award on behalf of the Government of India. Following this achievement, India has also secured the highest representation in the ISSA General Assembly with 30 seats, the highest vote share for any country. India has become only the 5th nation to receive this triennial award since its inception in 2013. You're watching DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen faces 2 confidence votes in the European Parliament, challenges that pose no serious threat to her leadership but underscore the tensions roiling the Assembly. US government shutdown enters 8th day, with the Senate again failing to pass short-term funding bills. And French President Emmanuel Macron to name a new Prime Minister within the next 48 hours in a bid to solve the political crisis.
So now you can't talk about British imperialism in India without talking about the East India Company.
Britain is just dotted with the visible representations of loot from India. The one thing you folks have never done is just say sorry.
Are you ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. A major breakthrough in the Middle East as Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire deal, marking the first phase of a peace plan brokered by US President Donald Trump. UN Chief Antonio Guterres welcomed the announcement and lauded the diplomatic efforts of the US, Qatar, Egypt and Turkey in brokering the deal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and global leaders welcomed the move, calling it a step towards lasting peace in the region. DD India's Soumya Raj reports.
A ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas has sparked celebrations and joy scenes in both Gaza and Israel. In Israel's capital city, Tel Aviv, former hostages and their families gathered at Hostages Square to celebrate the peace deal with immense relief and happiness.
Very exciting day. Finally, the time is come. And thank God and thank President Trump. And also thank for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, that we hope these coming days, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, we'll see our brothers and sisters coming back to Israel after 2 years in the prison of the Nazis in Gaza.
A day after the second anniversary of Hamas's deadly attack, US President Donald Trump announced that both Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of his Gaza peace plan. In a social media post, Trump said both sides have signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. Following the announcement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked President Trump in a social media post, saying Israel is determined to bring home all hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Hamas also confirmed the deal, saying the ceasefire agreement includes an Israeli withdrawal from the enclave and a hostage prisoner exchange. World leaders, including those from the UK and Canada, have welcomed the move and expressed hope for lasting peace between Israel and Hamas. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi also lauded the development, praising Prime Minister Netanyahu's leadership. In a post on X, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "We welcome the agreement on the first phase of President Trump's peace plan. This is also a reflection of the strong leadership of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Later, speaking to Fox News, President Trump said that hostages held in Gaza will probably be released on Monday. He also stated that Gaza will be rebuilt once phase 1 of the deal is complete.
We'll be involved in it, but the big thing is hostages are going to be released. It's probably our time would be probably Monday, and they're a terrible situation. They're deep in the earth, and they're being gotten, and a lot of things are happening right now as we speak. So much is happening to get the hostages freed, and we think they'll all be coming back on Monday. So it looks like that's the thing. And that'll include the bodies of the dead.
The deal expected to be formally signed on Thursday includes the release of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. It also ensures the withdrawal of Israeli forces and the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. The peace agreement brings a ray of hope for the people of both Israel and Gaza, signaling a possible end to the 2-year-long conflict. Soumya Raj Dwivedi for DD India.
And Jessica Taneja joins us on the story now for some perspective and more details. Jessica, Israel and Hamas have reportedly agreed to the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire aimed at ending the conflict in Gaza. What exactly has been agreed upon so far? In particular, what does it mean for the hostages and the inhabitants of Gaza?
Well, Hamas was holding on to those last hostages that it had taken from Israel about 2 years ago when this entire conflict re-affected the entire region of West Asia. And those were about 20 hostages still remaining, where the question also remains on the others who are not believed to be not alive, but their remains also should be returned to their family members back in Israel. And in exchange, Israel would release more than 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, as well as 350 more Palestinians who have been serving life sentence in Israeli prisons for various charges. With this particular point being stressed on when it comes to the hostages being released, and the reason Hamas was holding on to these hostages for last-minute negotiations was the fact that this was their last guarantee. With the way the Israeli strikes on the Gaza Strip have taken place in the last few months, and in fact in the last 2 years, it was perhaps one of the contentions, and the Israelis continued with their bombing of Gaza in order to eliminate the militants of Hamas who had been repeatedly targeting Israelis, as well as the hostages that they were taken in back then when they had attacked Israel on October 7 in 2023. So apart from the exchange of the hostages as well as the Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, an important aspect of this deal is also the disarmament of Hamas and the military withdrawal of the Israeli forces. Now, in the first phase, we're given to understand from the 20-point plan that US President Donald Trump unveiled last week was that the military would initially withdraw partially, the Israeli Defense Forces is what I mean, and the later stages of the plan would then ensure that all of these mechanisms that have been put in place are guaranteed. And in terms of security guarantees in the region, you see the deal has been backed by 8 Muslim nations as well as the Arab nations, that includes Turkey, who has been part of the mediation efforts, Egypt as well as Qatar, which is recently attacked by Israel in order to target Hamas officials. And all of the turn of events just go on to make us understand that this does look like, at least temporarily, would go on to ensure. But there are points of contentions. We will have to wait and see on how those unravel in the future, and if this peace deal can actually last longer than the ones that have been designed or agreed in principle before this.
We leave it here. Thank you very much, Jessica Taneja, for those details and analysis. The US government remains in shutdown with no resolution in sight after the Senate failed on Wednesday to pass either a Republican or Democrat-backed short-term funding bill. The vote marked the 6th unsuccessful attempt to extend federal funding as the shutdown ended the 8th day. Lawmakers in the Senate rejected a House-passed continuing resolution that would have funded the government through November 21st. The vote was 54-45, falling short of the 60 votes needed to advance the legislation. The Senate also rejected the Democrats' version of the funding bill, which included healthcare provisions. With both proposals failing, Congress remains deadlocked, leaving federal programs and workers in limbo. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump warned this week that the furloughed federal workers may not receive back pay once the shutdown ends, diverging sharply from the president. He also threatened layoffs and cuts to government programs if the stalemate continues.
How will you decide which workers get back pay and which workers do not?
Well, we're going to see most of them are going to get back pay, and we're going to try and make sure of that. But some of them are being hurt very badly by the Democrats, and they therefore won't qualify.
Now, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, delayed flights for a third straight day at airports, including the Reagan-Washington National and Newark Liberty International Airport, as the agency continued to face higher than normal staffing shortages. There were nearly 3,000 flight delays by 21:30 GMT, after 10,000 delays in total on Monday and Tuesday, with thousands tied to the FAA slowing flights because of air traffic controller absences at the facilities across the country as the government shutdown reached its 8th day. Air traffic control staffing issues during this shutdown have emerged earlier than the last major halt to the government funding in 2019, leading to unexpected shortages in cities around the country. Some 13,000 air traffic controllers and about 50,000 Transportation Security Administration officers must still turn up for work during the government shutdown, but they're not being paid. So on to its second week, the US government shutdown has started impacting federal workers, prompting some to take out new loans to help make ends meet. The first test will come next week when federal workers will start seeing their paychecks affected. But if no deal is reached by the end of this month, federal workers will receive nothing in the following paycheck. Staying in the Americas, Colombia's President Gustavo Petro suggested the latest vessel in the Caribbean bombed by the United States may have been Colombian, with Colombian citizens aboard. The White House, meanwhile, rebuffed Pedro's comments. US President Trump on Sunday announced the latest in a series of military strikes targeting drug trafficking vessels off the coast of Venezuela, although the Pentagon has yet to confirm any such strike happened on Saturday. And on to Mumbai now, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Keir Starmer are holding the CEO forum. They are interacting with various business leaders there in Mumbai. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer attending the CEO forum. Various business representatives from the UK are part of this large delegation that have come with Keir Starmer. The meeting will boost India-UK ties in areas of trade, businesses and other technologies. So these industry leaders are going to discuss the opportunities presented by the India-UK Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA. And of course, after this CEO forum, the two leaders will head to participate in the 6th edition of the Global Fintech Fest in Mumbai. So UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is travelling with the biggest trade mission that the United Kingdom has ever sent to India. So along with the talks that have happened, bilateral talks, there were key announcements made, and one of the areas was education. So Prime Minister Modi announced 9 UK universities will open their campuses in India. So right now on your screens, these are the vice chancellors of these 9 UK universities that are set to open campuses in India. What we are also expecting is the CEO forum, which the both leaders will attend. But right now, here we have the vice chancellors of the 9 UK universities that will see their campuses open in different cities of India. The Southampton University already has a campus in India, and it is one of the top public universities in Southampton, UK. It's ranked 87 in the QS World University Rankings 2026. But this number is going to increase now as Prime Minister Modi announced 9 UK universities will set up their campuses in India. The Gurugram campus of Southampton University was recently inaugurated, and the first group of students has also taken admission. So Prime Minister Modi earlier at the CEO summit, and UK Prime Minister and Prime Minister Modi will now head for the 6th Global Fintech Fest. These engagements are part of the bilateral comprehensive strategic partnership going on in Mumbai. A lot of key takeaways have come from today's bilateral talks. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India and UK are natural partners as both countries share a common belief system. He further said India and UK partnership brings stability in an unstable world. So, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal also met Prime Minister Keir Starmer and discussed ways to deepen trade and economic cooperation. And right now, as Prime Minister Modi said, that people are the living bridge connecting the two countries. So, this living bridge will further be enhanced when the UK universities will open their campuses in India. We'll get back to updates from Mumbai. Let's move on now to Argentina, where the lower house approved a bill to curb the use of presidential emergency decrees. The development is a direct challenge to President Javier Milei's executive powers, whose party holds a minority in both legislative chambers. Milei retains the power to veto the legislation. Lawmakers passed the measure by 140 votes in favour and 80 against, with 17 abstentions. The bill was already cleared by the Senate, but newly voted on modifications to the articles mean that it will now return to the upper house. The changes would allow the opposition to block decrees with a simple majority in either chamber, forcing the administration to seek broader consensus for its agenda. Meanwhile, Argentina is set to hold mid-term elections on 26th of October. This will be a key test for Milei, seen as a crucial test as he enters the second half of his presidency with limited legislative support. An Argentine court sentenced 2 people to prison for attempting to assassinate Cristina Fernández de Kirchner in 2022 when she was serving as vice president. Fernando Sabag was sentenced to 10 years and Brenda Uliarte to 8 years. The attack on Cristina shocked the nation and drew widespread international condemnation. Cristina is one of Argentina's most prominent political figures of the past 2 decades. She is currently under house arrest in a separate corruption case. Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa called for resilience against threats on Thursday, a day after attack on his convoy. Noboa stated that he and his team were attacked by vandals while delivering a water treatment plant to help rural communities. He expressed determination to continue risking his life for the people's betterment and emphasized the resilient spirit of Guayaquil, vowing to never be intimidated or controlled by threats or mafia influences. Noboa's motorcade was attacked with rocks in a rural town on Tuesday. 5 people were detained and Noboa was unharmed in the incident. The government pledged to investigate and prosecute those responsible amid nationwide protests over fuel subsidy cuts. On to Europe now. French President Emmanuel Macron will name a new Prime Minister within the next 48 hours after the resignation of outgoing Premier Sébastien Lecornu tipped the country into political crisis. Lecornu said in an interview earlier that he expected a new Premier to be named rather than early legislative elections to be called or Macron to resign in a bid to resolve the crisis. Macron had on Monday given Lecornu until Wednesday evening to find a way out of the months of deadlock over an austerity budget. Lecornu had resigned early Monday after less than a month in office in the wake of appointing a pro-Macron cabinet that caused consternation on the right and left. Macron had the options of reappointing Lecornu, naming the 8th premier of his increasingly troubled mandate, calling snap legislative elections, or even resigning himself. EU chief Ursula von der Leyen faces 2 confidence votes on Thursday in the European Parliament, challenges that pose no serious threat to her leadership but underscore the tensions roiling the Assembly. The two motions of censure against von der Leyen were brought by the hard left and far right, which accuse her of a lack of transparency in the European Commission and rejecting her trade policies. But while the motions are widely expected to fail, they reflect mounting discontent with von der Leyen's leadership and will test the cohesion of the coalition led by her conservative European People's Party. Von der Leyen survived a previous far-right attempt to unseat her in July, but the vote opened the door for allies in von der Leyen's so-called pro-European camp to air their own grievances. Voters in Seychelles returned to polls on Thursday. All right, these are live visuals coming from Mumbai, where UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is appreciating the diverse handicrafts of India. This is Starmer's first visit to India as UK Prime Minister. Starmer and Prime Minister Modi addressed the bilateral level talks earlier in the day, and here we see UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer appreciating the diverse arts and crafts of India. Right now he is seeing the various handmade carpets in an exhibition in Mumbai. These are ancient. So the 2 leaders will be addressing the 6th Global Fintech Fest, which is happening at the Geo World Center. The Global Fintech Fest is a global financial policy forum. It's a forum for financial policy dialogue and cooperation. It's the 6th edition, and the 2 leaders are expected to deliver keynote addresses at the event. So, Keir Starmer on his 2nd day in the financial capital of India. All eyes are fixed on the grand finale of the Global Fintech Fest, where in a powerful demonstration of a new, renewed alliance where Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Starmer will together deliver keynote addresses. This joint appearance is going to be far more than a diplomatic engagement. It culminates decades of evolving cooperation and embodies a pivotal new chapter in the centuries-old relationship between India and the United Kingdom. So the Geo World Center in Mumbai, a business hub located in the Bandra Kurla complex. Earlier yesterday as well, Starmer held a series of wide-ranging interactions in Mumbai. He met with business leaders, described the India-UK trade partnership as really important. Speaking at an interaction with industry representatives, he said that this is the biggest trade mission that the United Kingdom has ever sent to India. In his press statements after the bilateral level talks, he said that they have to get their leaders in a bigger plane next time. And of course, what he said that the two countries, India and the UK, share a modern partnership focused on the future, and they share common values, and they look forward to solving problems of the future. So the meeting focused on boosting India-UK ties in areas of trade, defense, security, critical technologies, and education. So the year 2025 marks a decisive and historic turning point, elevating this partnership into comprehensive strategic partnership. And it is guided by the ambitious India-UK Vision 2035, a shared blueprint for mutual growth and prosperity. This realignment is cemented by a strong political will bridging both nations. Starmer's ongoing two-day visit to India comes after Prime Minister Modi's trip to the UK in July earlier this year. It has infused this partnership with fresh momentum. It promises substantial, tangible benefits for citizens of both countries. And the address, which we are all standing by for, will be in front of an audience of global delegates. It will spotlight the incredible potential of this partnership on one of the world's most influential financial technology stages. Earlier today, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer also complimented Prime Minister Modi's leadership, from championing economic reforms at home to engaging with global democratic partners and positioning India to become developed by 2047. He also called India's growth story remarkable. All right, let's go back to Seychelles, where voters returned to the polls on Thursday for a runoff between the incumbent president and the leader of the long-time governing party, which has already reclaimed a majority in parliament. Ram Kalawan, a former priest who ended United Seychelles' decades-long rule in 2020, seeks a second term under the L'Union Democratic Seselva LDS banner, promising deeper reforms, anti-corruption, better public services and climate resilience. His first term focused on economic stability and strengthening democracy, while opponent Patrick Herminier, a former speaker and doctor, leads the United Seychelles with a campaign focused on renewable accountability and social justice. He promises restored social support, workers' rights and sustainable development, offering voters a choice between continuity and change. In the first round of voting held in late September, Patrick Herminier placed first with 48.8% of the vote, followed by Vavel Ram Kalawan with 46.4% votes. Since no candidate won a majority of the vote in the first round, the election will proceed to a runoff between Herminier and Ram Kalawan on 9th to 11th of October. The runoff will take place on the main island of Mahé and other populated islands across the archipelago. All right, time now for a short break here in the bulletin. On the other side, news related to India and the world. Stay with us.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
बोलते तुमने अभी लास्ट टाइम मुझे बोला ही नहीं कि पीएम
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. India's Union Minister for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare and Rural Development, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, said that the Indian ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family, continues to guide the country's approach to global development. He was addressing the 120th annual session of the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry in New Delhi on Thursday. In a session named India's Rise as Trusted Global Partner, Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that the spirit of universal goodwill defines our civilization, not a philosophy of selfishness but of collective well-being. He stressed that every citizen and institution must contribute to India's journey towards Viksit Bharat at 2047, adding that agriculture will remain the backbone of India's economic and social fabric.
मैं आज आपके इस मंच से ये कहने का साहस कर रहा हूं कि भौतिकता की अग्नि में दग्ध विश्व मानवता को शाश्वत शांति के पथ का दिग्दर्शन अगर कोई कराएगा तो भारत कराएगा। आज नहीं तो कल ये होगा। और प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमान नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में एक शक्तिशाली भारत, आत्मनिर्भर भारत, विकसित भारत, और विकसित भारत अगर बनाना है तो उसमें से हम में से हर एक को अपनी भूमिका का निर्वाह करना पड़ेगा।
Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways Nitin Gadkari addressed another session at the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry named Building World-Class Infrastructure for Global Value Chain. Gadkari said that the world-class infrastructure is essential for achieving the government's target of making India a $5 trillion economy and the world's third largest. Addressing the automobile sector's contribution to pollution, Gadkari said his ministry is working on a range of solutions including electric buses, flex fuel engines and biofuels like ethanol and methanol. He also projected that the cost of electric vehicles in India will be comparable to petrol vehicles within 4 to 6 months.
2014 में जब मोदी जी प्रधानमंत्री बने और मुझे मंत्री बनने का सौभाग्य मिला तो ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री जो थी उसका नंबर 7वां था और टोटल वॉल्यूम उसका 14 लाख करोड़ था। अभी कुछ ही दिन पहले हमने जापान को बाईपास किया और अब हम वर्ल्ड में 3rd नंबर पर आए हैं। अब हमारी ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री 22 लाख करोड़ की है। पर जिस प्रकार से हम लोग इतने बड़े प्रमाण पर नए नए रिसर्च लेकर आ रहे हैं, इनोवेशंस लेकर आ रहे हैं, तो मेरा विश्वास है कि हमारी ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री हम 5 साल में वर्ल्ड में पहले नंबर पर पहुंचेंगे, ये मेरा विश्वास है।
Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare JP Nadda highlighted the need for a comprehensive health policy covering preventive, promotive, palliative and curative care. He was speaking at a health conference, FICCI Heal 2025 in New Delhi on Thursday. The 2-day conference focuses on building a stronger healthcare system. Health Minister stressed on early detection and expanding access to healthcare across all regions.
Comprehensive health policy, we develop preventive health care, promotive health care, palliative health care, curative health care, geriatric health care, and very important part was early detection. When we say accessible health care, तो access कहाँ मिलता है? Where is the contact point? So we expanded the base of health care.
Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla chaired the workshop on leveraging technology, enhancing democracy through transformations and tracking the digital divide at the 68th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference in Barbados. He said India champions democratic values, inclusive development and human rights as it represents 60% of the Commonwealth's population. He also said that India is proud to support initiatives such as the Commonwealth Youth Programme and the Commonwealth Fund for Technical Cooperation. The National Sample Survey under the Ministry of Statistics and Programme Implementation is celebrating its 75 years of dedicated service to the nation. The National Statistics Office, in collaboration with IIM Bengaluru, held a national symposium on the impact of NSS surveys on public policy to mark the milestone. The symposium brought together government bodies, international organizations and institutions to reflect on the contributions of the NSS in shaping public policy. It also explored the future role of NSS in enhancing governance towards building a Viksit Bharat. The event hosted approximately 200 participants and provided a platform for deliberation on the glorious legacy of NSS and its future role in evidence-based decision-making. Weather updates from India now. Heavy snowfall in Himachal Pradesh Lahaul-Spiti region stranded several vehicles, disrupting traffic in the area. Following the snowfall, tourists flocked to the region while police worked extensively to rescue and clear the trapped vehicles. Meanwhile, the India Meteorological Department has forecast heavy rainfall in the northeastern states of Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura. The states will also witness thunderstorms, lightning and gusty winds. Among the southern Indian states, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Puducherry and Odisha are receiving intense showers while thunderstorms. The Met Department has also forecast heavy rainfall across several districts of Tamil Nadu on Thursday. West Bengal continues to bear the brunt of flash floods. As per the latest reports, in North Bengal's Maya Nagari area of Jalpaiguri district, flash floods triggered by torrential rain have severely damaged homes, prompting emergency relief efforts. Typhoon Halong struck Japan's Izu Islands on Thursday, bringing along heavy rain and strong winds. The Japan Meteorological Agency issued strong wind and high wave warnings on Wednesday for the Izu Islands, south of Honshu, alerting residents to evacuate as violent winds capable of destroying homes were expected. And on to sports news now. First news from the ongoing Women's ODI World Cup. The unbeaten Indian women's cricket team will take on South Africa in the group stage of the tournament on Thursday. In their last match, Harleen Deol and Richa Ghosh's batting blitz along with Kirti Gaur's 3-wicket haul proved how balanced the Indian team is. After crushing New Zealand in their recent encounter, thanks to Tasmin Britt's ton, South Africa have also found their rhythm. India sit comfortably at the second spot in the points table with 2 consecutive victories. The Proteas are placed at the 5th position with 1 win and 1 loss. The top 4 teams at the end of the group stage will qualify for the semi-finals. And with that, we wrap up this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of today. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks air on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.